Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Aletha joining me. Hi, Aletha.
Hi.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video, how to stop hot and cold behavior. So I know, whether you're manifesting someone new or dating them or actually in a relationship, I think hot and cold behavior is something that we can manifest so easily sometimes, and we definitely don't want it. So we've got some great tips and tricks of how you can manifest constant hot behavior, the behavior you like, the behavior you want. So just before we dive into it, guys, pardon me, we have a new course, a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. You can find it in the description below, the link. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, as you can tell, but we are going to push through because I'm excited to bring this video for you. And I know tomorrow I intend to feel better. And also Aletha does offer coaching, so definitely check out the link in the description below. Her clients are getting great success. So yeah, let's dive into it. Hot and cold behavior. I think the one thing where I see it the most is when I'm, off my mental diet and I'm going back and forth with, what I want, and I'm not really clear on my end goal, right? And I do feel like a lot of times it happens when I start reacting to the 3D rather than going back inside to, to create and to focus on what I actually want, right?
Yeah, and we need to be observant of our thoughts and notice what's happening around us, what we're thinking inside. What are we assuming about a specific situation or that person? And are we, as you said a minute ago, reacting to the 3D? And then what assumptions are we creating from that? Because we are the ones assigning meaning to whatever is going on in our worlds. So if we assume that we're hot and cold and that he's not contacting us, and we live from that mindset, then that's what's going to take place in our lives. But if we do the opposite and live with a determined confidence and assumption that he is or she is, constantly in contact with us and just living from the end of being in that wonderful relationship, that's the better place to be.
Exactly. So, I think one of the biggest things, right, is to realize that, the circumstances don't matter, and to avoid reacting to the 3D by, like Aletha said, is not assigning things a meaning that you don't like, right? So, for instance, if say, you're waiting for them to text message you and you're intending it, but they haven't messaged you yet, avoid assigning a meaning that they don't want to talk to you, or that they're that they're rejecting you, right? Assign the meaning that they are going to text you as soon as possible. They always want to talk to you. It's about staying in that end that you want to be in, right? And as well as, coming from a place of knowing that your thoughts, trusting your intentions will actually manifest, right?
Yeah, and being persistent in that knowing. And confident and trusting, and because we manifest from a state of whatever consciousness we're in, whatever state of consciousness we are occupying, that's what's going to be pushed out of us and then reflected back. So if you're living from a state of living from the end of whatever it is you want and persisting in that, and checking your thoughts and your inner conversations, your mental diet, all of that, staying on top of that, then you will manifest what you want. And really, hot and cold is determined by what you are thinking.
Exactly. So for instance, right, like one way that a lot of people do create hot and cold behavior is, everything is going great and then something happens, right? And then the 3D, and then we react to it. And then those thoughts that we're having in that moment, that we're reacting and we're having those thoughts, we are creating it. So how do you live from the end? I know we say this a lot. So for instance, let's say I want to be in a happy, loving relationship with Andrew. Okay. And now happy, loving means all of my thoughts are there. Okay. Regardless of what happens in the 3D. So like a really good example of this is when I'm cooking, sometimes he says, don't rush it. And then if I'm living from anger, rejection, annoyance, I'm annoyed at that because I'm like, what do you mean don't rush it? Don't you think I know how to cook? Right? And then if I'm living from the end of a happy relationship, my thoughts are going to be more like this. Oh, okay, well, you know what? He's just like, he's just saying, something because he appreciates me cooking. He's just trying to be involved, and not have that reaction. Because yes, you can react in your 3D and you can clean it up, but remember, those thoughts are creating, and you will have to clean it up. There is no freebie on thoughts here that don't show up. I mean, your thoughts create, right? So when you live from the end of having what you want, that means making everything that you're seeing in your 3D mean it's in line with that end goal, right? So if you don't want to be rejected, don't accuse them of rejecting you. If you don't want to be disrespected, don't assume that they're disrespecting you. Always assume that whatever's happening, it's in line with the person that you want them to be and the relationship that you want to have. Because hot and cold behavior begins with you. When your thoughts are like totally great, then you're having a great relationship. When your thoughts aren't so great, well, then you're not having a great relationship, right? Your thoughts about the relationship itself, right?
Well, it all comes down to our perspective, doesn't it? It's like, what perspective am I choosing to create right now? And as you said, everything that we think and feel, we are pushing out of ourselves. And so our perspective is so important. And I've often heard you actually say at times, do I really want to experience this? This thought that I just had, this feeling that I'm having, this like the whole thing, do I want to be upset with Andrew, or do I want this happy relationship? And that's when we have to shut down our egos that are jumping up and down and screaming sometimes, and say, no, the perspective that I choose is to live from the end of having what I want with this person, which is a happy, loving relationship. And so we need to watch our perspective. And then when it's not in alignment with what it is that our heart is choosing to experience with whatever, the person or whomever, then we need to change that perspective to make sure that it is in alignment, because that's what's going to manifest.
Exactly. And Aletha's nailed it. It's mental diet, right? So if you want your relationship consistently to be on point and to be going good, then you need to stay on a good, clean mental diet. And what does that mean? It means listening to your thoughts and asking yourself, do I really want to create that? And if the answer is no, changing it right away. Neville did a really good book, and it's, it's all of his books are really good. He talks about mental diet in most of them, because it is about staying on top of our thoughts, and the other thing is like, stop questioning what they're thinking, because you're questioning what they're thinking, you're creating that they're not thinking what you want. You're focusing on the problem or the lack of what you're seeing in your reality, right? Start creating, what do they think? Do they want to be with you? Do they love you? Do they want to spend all their time with you, right? And, so stay on the mental diet. And if you can't be on your thoughts every minute of the day, check in with yourself. If you're sort of like, unconsciously thinking about them and you're anxious, then you need to take a moment and say, okay, what am I thinking right now? What's making me anxious? And start to go through those thoughts and start shifting them, right? Like, let's say, for instance, you want to go out with them this weekend, but you're not sure if they're going to want to go out with you. Of course, that would, in the back of my mind, make me anxious. So then it's like, no, let's bring those thoughts up. Let's figure them out. No, they do want to see me. They are going to take me out. We are going to have a good time. We're going to spend the whole weekend together. I mean, whatever it is, you want to be able to identify those thoughts and change them, because ignoring those thoughts isn't going to help, right? You need to change them. You need to be on your mental diet, right? This is the most important thing. And then if you do react or slip off of it, right, basically anything that shows up that's cold behavior, it's old thoughts. It's old thoughts. Just look at it and say, do I like that? No. And then just change it. Simple as that. What do you want to see instead, right?
Right, exactly. And it seems to be our natural bent as humans to go down the negative path of thinking, and we're somewhat conditioned to that, but we really do need to stay on top of our mental diet. And the only way to overcome that natural bent to assume the negative and to imagine the negative and think the fearful thoughts that push really hard at us sometimes is to just basically, I intend that I'm staying on top of my mental diet. I intend that I'm going to think everything positive about this situation. I intend that my SP loves me and adores me and all those things. And put yourself in. For me, it really helps to simply say, I intend, when I want to shift from that ego state to a state of living from the end of what I want and staying in that place where I know I'll manifest the things I want, because I don't like going back and repairing stuff. I just want to avoid that totally.
I know.
I intend, yeah, because I just pretend I've got this, and then go on with the conversations needing to be said, whether they are that he loves me, or he's going to call me, and in my case, it would be he, or she, whatever it is for you. And so, yeah, that somehow seems to help me.
Yeah, what I do, right, is I always say I intend to feel good about my relationship. I intend to feel good about everything that shows up in my relationship. I intend that everything Andrew says makes me feel good and makes me feel loved. I intend to feel satisfied. And I really like intending how I feel, because those are so easy to call in. It's funny when I say I intend to feel satisfied. I don't know, it doesn't take too long. I'll get distracted, do something, and all of a sudden I'll have this feeling of satisfaction fill me up. Right. So, I intend to feel like I know my power. I intend to see that everyone is me pushed out, evidence of that every minute of the day. And, and when I start calling these things in, it really helps me to stick on and get remotivated into what I'm looking to manifest. I even say I intend to feel excited about manifesting what I want. I intend for it to be easy for me to stay on a mental diet. I intend to enjoy being on a mental diet, and because I remember, right, and I think this is something that maybe some of our newer subscribers, struggle with, is when I first learned that I needed to stay on a mental diet, there was an all-out war in my head. I was like, oh no, what? I can't even think what I want now. Like, I have to actually focus on things I want. Like, no, this hurts. I don't want to do it, because there was static in my head. Like, it was really painful to start thinking about the things that I wanted, rather than, in Comfortville, where it was like, oh, let's sit on the couch with a big plate of pasta and have a pity party about my life for the weekend. So much easier than, changing my mind to what I actually want. But the funny thing is once I started doing it and I started seeing results, it started to become addictive. It started to become like, oh my goodness, like, what? It's this easy. So now when something goes wrong in my life, or I start getting behavior I don't like, I simply turn around and I'm in this little freak out mode of how do I fix it? And then all of a sudden I say to myself, I'm like, Amanda, you know how to fix it. You know how to fix it. You just need to be on top of your thoughts. Sorry, I didn't put my phone on mute, apparently. But that's what it comes down to, is like, you have that. It's easy to fix. It's your thoughts. It's so easy. Nothing needs to be done outside of you. Most of the time conversations don't need to happen in 3D, just up here. Right? See the person as you want them to be, and they're going to show up that way. Assume them, and assume all their actions are in line with the person that you want them to be. Get creative.
No, you said it. And I've done that. And one of the things that I think gives me relief as a person, and that I share with my clients too, is that we are so powerful that we can take care of life internally without having to confront people. We don't have to deal with anything outside of ourselves. Everything comes from within. So we can have a mental conversation and create a mental diet of thoughts and assumptions about a situation or a person being what we want it to be. And we will see that show up. I have done that with so many things over and over and over. And especially at one point in my life with an SP. And he didn't even know he was saying the stuff I had been saying he was saying.
He thought it was his idea.
Yeah, he had no idea. And, inside you're chuckling, and outside you're rejoicing, because like, oh my gosh, it's working. It's wonderful. Plus he was saying everything I wanted to hear, right? So yeah, it's like it takes all the pressure off in life. We are not powerless people.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So guys, to recap for hot and cold behavior, right? Watch the meaning you're giving things when you're reacting to the 3D. Try to avoid reacting to the 3D, but if you do, it's okay. Just remember, you need to revise it, clean it up. Remember your power. Remind yourself that everyone is you pushed out. Create a little list of things that you can manifest, that prove to yourself that everyone is you pushed out, because the only person that needs to be convinced that this works and that you create is you. And that's your power. You need to trust yourself in your power, and that's your own journey. I can't make you do it. Nobody can make you do it. You've got to, learn and be confident in who you are as a creator and how you create. So create those little tiny manifestations so you can start to see how you create. And the more, confidence you have in your creating, the easier it is to look at something that happens and go, oh, I totally remember that negative thought I had. This really isn't a big deal. It doesn't mean anything. And then back to focusing on what you want. But get clear on what you want, right? If we're back and forth on what we want, we're going to get hot and cold behavior. So be clear on what you want, stick to that mental diet, right?
Yeah, you said it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Aletha.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I intend each and every one of you guys, has an aha moment and a breakthrough in your relationship because of this video. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.